Hello and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Caprill. Yes, the 2-5 Cincinnati Bengals are being honored today. Don't ask me why, but got out of the shower, looked in the closet, said, put the Bengals shirt on, got the Bengals mug. Chiefs, yes, I know, 7-0, 8-0. I love the Chiefs. So unlike some people who hate the team that wins all the time, that team, I suffered with you people. So I know, and it's kind of nice to see him winning, but I'm ready for the torch to be passed, but I don't know if it will be. And I know you're not ready for it to be, so, and nor should you be. But in any event, so slightly different screen today, and that's because I'm going to be sharing with you a chart. But before I do, I just want to, first of all, I think I mentioned this in our last video, but if I haven't, Beth and I have decided to sell our house in Nashville, and we are now permanently moving back to Cincinnati. I'm very excited about that. A number of reasons behind it, mostly family related, but business related as well. So I'm very, very excited to be back full time. I never left, but it's really kind of nice to be now 10 minutes from the office and have a little bit more structure in my life. So, as you may know, there's an election going on. Now, I'm filming this the Wednesday before the election. So it's in 6 days. So by the time you watch this, the election will be over. We may not know who the winner is, but the election will be over. And so there's going to be a lot of emotion from this election. There is every election, but this one probably more so than any other during our time. As a Stoic believer in Stoicism, I believe the philosophy of Stoicism. I try very hard never to allow things beyond my control to affect me. I also try very hard to focus in only on the present. The past is over, and the future has yet to come. So I only deal with what I can. And I'm encouraging you to do that too. Now, full disclosure, and most of you know, politically, I am a conservative. I have voted for the most conservative candidate in every election. And I'm not apologetic for that. I don't vote based on personality or the person even. I vote on policy, which might be a little different. But to me, that's ultimately what drives it. All right, who cares? Who I vote for, who cares? Who you vote for, I don't care. All right. It's your right, your choice. Do it. All right. I'm not going to move the election by my vote. I know that. Heck, I voted in Tennessee. That election's already been decided down there because the way we're set up. But I want to emphasize this because it's very easy during election times, particularly if things don't go the way we want them to go, the way you want it to go. You might get a little emotional. You might be worried. Anxiety could build up. And my advice to you is don't let it. And I'm saying that not because that's the right thing to say. I'm saying that because history is our guide. So let me, I'm going to reduce my imagery of myself here for just a second. And I want to take you through this chart. So this is how the markets have rewarded the long-term investors regardless of political parties. So let me put myself here in the lower right part of the screen. Okay. And we're going to go back to 1926. And guess who's in office? Cool Cal Coolidge. Actually, philosophically, is probably one of my favorite presidents because his attitude was, that's not the role of the president. That's not the role of the president. You couldn't get more different than Cool Cal versus FDR. But in any event, for the first, the Roaring '20s were pretty good, and then as you know, they started to fall, and a lot of reasons for that. But at the end of the day, Herbert Hoover takes over. The red are the Republican presidents. Herbert Hoover takes over. Just a really bad time. Had you invested $1 in the market at the time, and this would be the S&P 500 at the time that Calvin Coolidge took over, by the time Herbert Hoover has left office, you've lost money. All right. Then come the Roosevelt years. Roosevelt was president for over 12 years, so a much longer period of time. And you can again see at first not a whole lot happened, the Great Depression. But over time, it's upward sloping. Lots of dips, right? This is not, let me use my cursor here, this is not a linear experience by any means. A lot of ups and downs, but ultimately up. So a dollar invested in the market back in Coolidge's times is now finally worth $10 by the time Truman leaves and Ike takes over. Ike takes over, markets just continue to go up. Very peaceful time in the United States. Don't worry, that's about to end because the 60s are coming. But even during the tumultuous 60s, again, you notice that there is advancements here. A dollar invested now is starting to push $100 by the time Lyndon B. Johnson ends. Nixon comes in. You get the Nixon and Ford era, pretty much a flat era. You had the end of Vietnam, and of course, you had all the problems with Nixon. Carter comes in. We now dealing with hyperinflation, and yet the market's still going up. Reagan comes in. Now we got 12 years of Republican rule. And as you can see, just nice upward sloping, but some serious dips. I mean, look at that big one right after, right over here. Okay. That was a little mini bear market. The market lost like a fifth of its value in a day, but came back to actually post a profit by the end of the year. Democrats take over again. Clinton's in. Markets move up. Republicans take over. Bush comes in. Pretty much a down period. It was going fine until 2008. So what's very interesting here is if you're gonna, and again, I've always voted the most. You can infer what I mean by when I say the most conservative candidate. I like to say that because I don't really feel I vote by party. I vote by policy. But nonetheless, if you were to look at the market's had its worst times during Republicans. So Bush, Nixon, Hoover, Coolidge. Now, again, I would contend that the markets really don't care who the president is. There's winners and losers in both. But you don't want to fall into this trapping that says, well, if the Republicans win, this will happen. If the Democrats win, this will happen. No, that's the future, and we don't know what the future is. All we know is the present. So we get the Obama administration comes in, markets go up. Trump comes in, markets go up. Biden comes in, markets are up. It's kind of the way it works, all right? The world today, I say this all the time, the world today dwarfs that of what it was like in the night when Coolidge was president. I mean, just the way people interacted with each other. Now, in some ways, it was better then. In some ways. I don't think in most ways, no. I mean, I wouldn't take their health care. I wouldn't take their forms of transportation. I do think we're a little digital reliant today, which during a more innocent time was less so. But in any event, what I want you to see here is, to quote the great Bill Murray in the movie Meatballs, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the president is. Our economy, our markets, our capitalism continues to flow. Now, you can argue that that's going to change. You may be right. I don't know. I don't think you are. Things will change, but not to the point where they aren't what we have. They'll change slightly here and there. Try your hardest to be optimistic, all right? But more than anything, understand that if history's any guide, it doesn't matter. Dollar invested back in Cool Cal's day, 1926, it's now worth $10,000 today. Think about that. When I was born in the 1960s, 1963, so Kennedy was president when I was born. He died when I was 7 months old. No, 9 months old, excuse me. The Dow was trading at 600. 600. It's a lot of doublings over 61 years, right? So keep that in mind as you go forward. I say it all the time. I know you're tired of hearing me say it. Try not to watch the news. Try to read the news. It's going to be a very interesting month of November. My prediction is we won't know who the actual president is until days before the Electoral College meets. But it's going to be interesting. Try not to overconsume yourself with it. Try to enjoy life because, again, that's all we have. Take care.